I feel like in my head, I'm trying to describe what this is like. And phrases like reality just collapses in on itself. Like it's just a description, you know? It's not accurate. It has to be experienced for you to see what it's actually like. And it's not even, at this point especially, it's not even spectacular, you know? It's not like a big deal. Nothing is a big deal. But your reality is just your reality as long as it is. There's nothing you can really truly do to get out of it, because that which is trying to get out of it is the thing in effect that is blinding, and it has no idea that it's blinding. It itself is the reality. So it just has no clue, but it thinks it knows. It thinks it knows what it needs to do, how it should be, how it should collapse this, because it's creating so much, I don't know, subtle suffering or discomfort or lethargy or whatever it might be. There are all these ideas of knowing how things should be, how things should work, how I can get out of this, that this is a problem, that I know that this is a problem, that I know how to fix it. Yeah. If you keep stepping back, you're like, actually, I don't know what that is. So the assumption that it is something or that I can fix it is just an assumption. But most people can't function that way. It's death to them. It's constant death. It's constant never landing anywhere. It's constant never knowing where I am and what this is and what's happening. And that is painful. It's very painful. So, you know, for a lot of understandable reasons, there are certain things in our life that are really important. And money and intimate partnership they were both quite strong. And you have the surface ways of dealing with it, like this constant worry and fear of not getting, of not feeling like it's enough, of constantly chasing and searching, constantly monitoring yourself so that you're more deserving of something, fixing and molding. All of that pain, all of that struggle, all of that energy, it's just not worth it. You sense that over and over, and things can crumble. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a literal something collapsed where, let me back up. There was a moment where the meaning of numbers collapsed. Like numbers were completely empty, and I never knew that I was perceiving it as having heaviness and meaning. Like a certain amount means something. There is a gravity to it, and I had no idea that it could be otherwise, because that's like the only way I perceive things. And as a person, you could say things to yourself, but it's very momentary. But when the root of it just collapses, it's like, whoa, it's totally seen as empty, and the body can actually start to function differently in all of these subtle ways. So I'm not even talking about that. That was like a year or two ago. And now it feels like it was all energetic. It was reality. The future, at least when it came to money, was reality. And so what comes with that is the worry, is the planning, is the thinking of what's to come, it's a plethora of things. And so that is you, actually. That is the reality that is in existence. And so it felt like I just needed to keep trying, keep living there, keep worrying, it's not that I needed to, it's just that that was what it was. I wasn't even trying to collapse that because you don't know what is possible beyond that. You don't know what exists beyond that. You really, really don't, until it's gone, until it just collapses. And yeah, there was a period where I felt like that's gone. I can't even energetically worry about the future because it doesn't exist. Like, that's how absent it was. I literally could not project a real felt sense of thought. No energy could be projected into the future because it simply did not exist in this body anymore. So I couldn't worry. I couldn't think like that. It just didn't exist. It wasn't real. So this is just what it is. And there's just something so subtle, but so profound and beautiful about that. And again, it wasn't spectacular. It was because nothing was waiting for it. Nothing was trying anymore. Nothing had an assumption that it could be different or it should be different or that it was actually a real problem. There was none of that. And that's the energy of the person that's constantly monitoring what could be better in all of these subtle ways. What should be, I shouldn't feel this way. I can stop feeling this way if I just believe this or drop that belief. And like it's bullshit. It's most of the time, it was just life itself, whatever you want to call it, that forcibly purged something out of this body. And I had no say in it. It just happened. And it always varied, always. And the lesson was beautiful in a way, but also it wasn't important because it's also seen that whatever you learn in a specific circumstance can never be replicated, and it's always going to be different for everybody. Like, there are way too many variabilities that you can't even, it's not a thought variable. It's like it's an indescribable, it's energetic. You cannot compartmentalize and label and know energy. Like, that doesn't even make sense. And calling it energy also it doesn't even make sense. No one knows what this is, what that is. Like, it just doesn't even make sense. Nothing makes sense. Yeah, I have my noise canceling on, but I hope it's not picking up the wind blower thingy. So likewise, but not likewise. When it comes to knowing what the human body is, it's crazy. It's crazy what falls away. And you can't identify with the body. You don't know what it is. You don't know why you found certain things attractive. You don't know why you were trying to mold and fix and manipulate the physical form of the body in such a controlling, mean, harsh, way, like you get it, you understand why that was the case, because this world is so disgusting in how it is objectification. Even if you learn, you know, that you don't want to objectify yourself, or like that person was objectifying you, if you actually go through this, you do sense like, of course that was the only reality. Of course that's the only thing that was really actually going on in their way of perceiving, because like it can't be otherwise unless you die, unless that literal energy of being able to objectify anything and everything completely collapses. And you know, through this you can have little glimpses of not knowing what anything is, and it's beautiful, but it's so much actually needs to go, like so much. You would be so fucking shocked, and by the time it happens you're not shocked, because so much keeps falling away and you see like you're not doing any of it, and it is just doing its own thing. And every time you naturally end up choosing inner peace or freedom or truth, and I say those things in a really light way, but every time you choose that because you're fucking fed up over and over and over and over again, potentially something internally can keep collapsing. And that's how the solid reality of the world keeps collapsing. And it makes sense. It makes sense that it would have this like dual effect of like, actually scratch that, like trying to describe it in that way sounds so silly and ridiculous. But the strength of wanting and desiring something so-called externally comes with the solid objectification of it. It is that way, because when that literally dies within, you're no longer able to project importance, significance, reality in that object outside. That object is not an object anymore. You have no idea what it is. There isn't the energetic felt knowing and desire and want of that thing. So the body acts completely different. It doesn't want it. It doesn't chase it. It doesn't need it. It is irrelevant. It doesn't even register it in that way anymore. And again, this doesn't happen in a moment. I guess it could be different for everybody, but like how thorough this actually goes is remarkable. Yeah, so that's where I'm coming from when I then talk about certain things that I see outside. It's like, you wouldn't act like that if you the only reason you act like that is because there is the objectification, the solidification, the knowing of what that is, the wanting of it, the desire, the need, the energetic need. There is that there, which isn't a problem, but you're just, at least for here, it was like I was amazed. I was amazed with how much everything just became blank in such a clear, clean, pristine way. And even those words are silly to use, honestly. I don't know why I say those kinds of things, but I think maybe it's to say that every time, even though at moments it was devastating and sad and I had to grieve a lot of things that were gone, I kept seeing and genuinely feeling like I wouldn't trade this for anything. Because you're done. You're no longer chasing, you're no longer needing, you're no longer grasping, you're no longer desperate, you're no longer alone or lonely. You can be alone. I mean, even that doesn't make sense, but basically there's nothing here anymore. And the body is free. It's free. It's free to just be, and it's never been free. And so this is where then I saw the immense amount of control and even in this space, saying that they're empty or they're awake, but there's so much seeking there. There's so much lying to themselves and lying to others that's going on. And again, it's not a big deal, but you can't help but be like, wow, everything. People have no clue how deceived they have been and how much they are deceiving themselves and others. You can't help but really see that everywhere going on, because it's gone here. And the only way you could see it so starkly clearly, and it's like, because you're blank. It doesn't exist here anymore. So it's like, whoa, humans are possessed. Probably from birth, they've been conditioned to act that way, need so much, desperate for external everything, whether it be literal objects or even if they say they want love, it's not. It's all, they want to feel loved as an object, actually, like lusted or desired or wanted. That will still play a part in it to some degree. Like, yeah, it's just so clear that it all either collapses, or all of these little things will keep popping up here and there. And for me, for here, I didn't intentionally constantly think of this as like a significant or important thing, but it felt right, and it felt genuine here that I needed and wanted total clarity. I wanted to go all the way, and there was sometimes fear or regret or just being in the fucking unknown. Like, what is this? You know, was it worth it? Seeing everything that I lost. And then other moments where it was just so nice to have nothing and want nothing. And when I say that, that could be interpreted in so many different ways. It's not like I did lose everything. I did lose my parents. I lost myself. I lost everything that I thought I wanted in life. I lost it all. I lost it all. All the dreams, all the hopes, everything. But did that so-called physical body of my dad and my mom disappear? No, they're still so-called in my life. Like, it's so hard to describe because everything that I'm saying is not what it is. So how can you say it? Like, it's exactly the same-ish, not really. It's just that how this body perceives everything, it has completely changed. It's completely gone. I do not see physical bodies. I do not know what I'm looking at. I do not have this bond and attachment that is coming from a sense of need and hope and want and dreams and imagination and ideas and constructs of who I am and who they are and how we should be together and what I expect from them and what they expect from me. And I don't live in that world anymore. That has disappeared. I can have an understanding of it, but I don't live there anymore. And I understand that everybody does. I understand that they live in a very, very convoluted, busy, full world that is complete imagination. I understand that. And there is no desire to change anybody. That doesn't mean I don't say things. I don't know. I may not. All I can say is like there's no need to change anyone in that way anymore because yeah, there's no need here. It's not even that it's okay, because even that, I can see how that would be a description of like the opposite of, feeling needy and desperate or just wanting something, even in the subtlest ways. You can have the opposite feeling, not opposite in like the absolute opposite, but of just feeling okay, like this is okay, this is fine. But yeah, I find I find that I can't say that anymore because that's gone. It's just an absence. There's not that much more you could say about it. There's just nothing. And I can see why the person is so fearful of that. Like it really cannot go there willingly. And so when someone resonates with this, I know that they've been through a lot in life. You really have to have been challenged in so many different ways, in all different areas, multiple times. And it's ironic because you wouldn't say this about yourself. Because I don't think I would say this about myself. But there is a depth of strength and like undeniable I know this might sound really cheesy, but like a warrior kind of energy that might have just been there to be able to have gone through this over and over in all of these different layers, in all of these subtle ways. Because you really do see how everything is against you, against this happening, not against you, but everything is about control. Everything is about knowing. Everything is about objectifying, solidifying, making it real, finding your purpose. This is your passion. This is what you're meant to do. But all of it is a symptom of this man-made system. And the body, it can be systematized. That is the suppression, that is the conformity, that is the brainwashing and the slavery. And you have no idea that you're a slave because it is you. It's like built in now. But what this deconstruction reveals, especially when you're toward the end where everything has emptied out. I don't know how to describe it. Everything has gone. And I can see why it takes years and years. Like, even if you have a massive experience, whatever you want to call it, awakening or kundalini or multiple glimpses, or I don't care, whatever you want to call it, so-called after that, you can just become a person again who believes they had this massive experience and they're more special, and maybe you emptied out a bit and blah, blah, blah. And then maybe you can have another death or awakening or whatever you want to call it. But you see in this, like, why so many people are so lost and claiming things, and then there are followers that get equally lost and then maybe regurgitate the same things that their leader is saying, because that's the tendency of the person. They don't want to be alone. They can't truly be themselves. They can't truly be unique. It feels a lot safer to just copy and mimic, and because maybe that person already has a following, so then you'll feel included or more accepted, or it's not as threatening. Anyways, what was I saying before that? I think a year or two ago, I don't really know anymore. Time, it doesn't even make sense, but I remember where so much fell away, like so much, a lot more than you could ever imagine. There was so much that I saw, so much about this conventional world where I was like, it was obvious that people on YouTube who had the biggest followings were the experts out there that were giving advice about all of these different things. It was really obvious and clear that they were coming from such a different place that wasn't, to me, it wasn't helpful at all anymore. It was just more harm, more of the same. And so I could see how there was a lot to say there, but even more kept going. And the importance in saying those things also went. And I remember thinking like, oh, it could have been nice to just stay there. Like, basically, you're still a person. Maybe you can say, it's so stupid to say, but maybe you're like half a person. So you're still in the personal world, but you're emptier. And I could see how a lot of people could be there. I'm not sure. Who knows, I don't know what's going on in other bodies. And I was thinking, like, does it have to go all the way? Like, everything goes, everything. And now that it seems like that's the case, I'm like, you see things so much more clearly and so much more thoroughly, and you can sense that, yeah, if you had gone sort of halfway, which I think only I can say that it's halfway only because it's gotten to a point where it's like I'm completely out of that dream. I'm out of that reality. Because I say that because I don't think it's obvious for people that they've been halfway. I think that there can be a sense that so much has gone that you're like, this, I'm awake, you know, or this is done ish. Like there's just so much that went. And I remember feeling that many, many times. And again, none of that is important. I'm just describing how I felt the past 3 to 1 years. And so anyways, I can't really talk about the future because I like don't know what's gonna happen at all. And it's not like I knew what was happening in the moment anyways, you know. It's just with more apparent time where you're like, holy shit, a chunk more just fell away, and I can't even describe exactly what fell away, but it's just gone. I felt like I lost my train of thought like multiple times. I guess that's what happens when you don't have like a purpose or a point. And even if I do, yeah, I lose it real fast. Yeah, I'm so glad I lost everything. I'm so glad it all left, and there's no sense of wishing or wanting this for anybody because you know that it'll just happen if it happens in a way, because I don't know if this is true, but what it felt like here, like one aspect of this was like it didn't feel good to trick myself and to trick others, to like lie. And what happens throughout this, so I was like that as a person, which is really rare, meaning there was an innocence and there was a not understanding how people could trick and connive people, even in subtle ways. Like I just didn't want any part of it. And this body couldn't function that way. And I'm glad that I was that way. Even though there were certain moments where I was like, maybe that's why I couldn't get far in the material world, you know? I couldn't step on people. I couldn't go for my dreams at the other's expense, knowing that I hurt them or stepped on them. Or anyway, so throughout this death or unwinding, or at a certain point, maybe rewind a little bit. There was a period where there was actually, I think it was actually sort of necessary to have more of an allowance for me to express and be myself and to unearth. I didn't unearth it, but because of the acceptance of whatever was here, there was an unearthing of a lot of different sort of energies that I didn't even know was there, that I didn't even know was behind the persona, who I thought I was, you know? So I think that was really beautiful and necessary. It wasn't linear, but there was some general sense of that there was an immense acceptance and okayness with whatever was here. It's the only way that it would have unearthed itself. At least that's what it seemed like. But then there came a point where there might have been little glimmers of that as well, but mainly it got more and more refined naturally. And you really see the subtle ways that you are fooling yourself and others. And I didn't want to, I couldn't. And I'm so glad that that was the case. I'm so glad. And I can sort of sense, I don't know if this is true, but I can sort of sense why that wouldn't be the case for maybe a lot of people, that they wouldn't thoroughly keep refining internally and choosing this freedom or peace and truth beyond everything and anything. And perhaps, I can't say for sure, but like perhaps it was because I had, the support of my friend who was going through this with me, and that in itself felt safe. That in itself gave a certain degree of comfort and companionship to keep going. But I'm not saying that then it's not possible for others. I'm just describing what it was like here. And that was the case. I can't just omit that huge aspect of the unwinding here. I can't. And in a way, he was everything that I hoped for without knowing and without, because conventionally speaking, he's not anything that past Suzanne would have wanted or really desired or hoped for per se. But now I can say that, and just mind you, every word that I say doesn't even make sense to me. It's all very empty. But who he is and what he has given me has been so much more profound than anything I could have ever wanted or hoped for. Because it's a sense of deep safety and comfort to the point where there's a disappearance, meaning there's no energy that needs to be on guard or question, and this took years, it seems, but there's just nothing anymore. No doubt, nothing. And so that's what seems to happen to the body when you flatten, because scratch the because, but that's what happens. And then you energetically feel, you can't even label it anymore. You don't know exactly what it is in words because that doesn't make sense to you anymore. But there's an energetic sense you get in society, in the world, in the human body. The human body is everywhere, of like whatever it is, a need, a greed, a desperation, a not feeling okay, not trusting, not whatever it is. It's so much. It's intertwined. The loneliness, whatever it might be. There's just a plethora of stuff. And so you do see humanity from this different place, which is actually really stunning and beautiful. And you know that it's really, really rare. You know that very, very few people have actually thoroughly gone all the way. Or if you have, I really doubt that you would be known. Maybe it's different nowadays, you know, since this thing called social media is so much more prevalent for a lot of different reasons. But I can see why people just disappear. I can see why that would be the most natural thing. Oops. You know, I'm aware that I might repeat myself a lot. Oh, the sun is so nice. It was kind of cold. I don't seem to care because it just is what it is. That seems to be how I express. So like, so what? I don't remember if I said this in my last video. I don't even know if I'm going to post it. Um, but you know, prior to seeing the amount of clutter in the human body, like again, once you're empty, you can truly see the how disturbing it all is, like all of it, and you kind of sense where it stems from and how unavoidable it actually is and how ingrained and imbued it actually is in everybody. But prior to that, when there was the more acceptance of whatever energies were here, and yeah, there was a sense of how everybody's just a child, you know? Like I would just see children everywhere and the sort of innocence of it all. Um, Yeah, there's so much that happened here and so many different perspectives that were seen, and so quickly too. Like it changed so quickly. Yeah, it just kept changing so quickly. And there was more acceptance in general in humanity. Maybe it was my own perception per se, or maybe it was like my audience that I had more at the time or something. I felt like there was more acceptance toward that kind of view of like seeing the innocence in everyone and everything, and it was genuine here as the sort of, it's not really a child, but the sort of childlike energy was emerging here. That's just what was seen in everybody. Let's see if you could see this. Anyways, I don't know. It's a pretty crown. I just want to sit in the sun for a little bit because it was cold. Anyways, I think there was a little bit of sadness, at least when it came to when I was publicly expressing. I guess there was a little bit of hesitancy that I wasn't perceiving things in that way anymore, because the so-called childlike energy here had gone. It was just gone. So I didn't perceive that in others in that way anymore. And so now I can sense how, yeah, that would just be the case. It's okay. But I guess, yeah, there was a period where I was like, oh, I can't even, what it felt like here was like, oh, I can't even meet people and have that kind of motherly love that was here, that motherly like acceptance. And because it was quite prominent and strong here. But yeah, after a while it just disappeared. Like, yeah, isn't that strange? Like the sort of motherly sense and the childlike sense disappeared sort of simultaneously. I'm not saying in the same instant. I'm saying like all of those energies, all of those stories, all of those ways of being, all the identities, they're interlinked. Not literally interlinked, but it all just comes together, because that's how chaotic it is. That's how nonsensical it actually is. That's how all over the place it really is. Yeah, you could say it's really dynamic. It's full of nonsense, kind of, if I'm being honest. Yeah, but I don't say that in a rude way. Like, the best thing that can happen is to be kind to that child, to be kind to that mother or father energy that wants to protect others, protect itself, defend itself. And but really, with any sort of belief and sense or identity, you can't see the whole thing. And this disappearance is the only way that you see the whole thing. And luckily, because of that, because you're gone, because nothing solid anymore, nothing significant or important or real in that way anymore. Luckily, it's not a big deal. Luckily, you just say what you say, and it's not meant as actual truth or reality or with much importance.